Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Uh, as the title says, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And I had to, I know there's a lot of shit. I don't talk about a lot of shit to a lot of people. I really honestly, people want to say that I'm, mentally ill. I got mental health problems. First of all, that's fine and dandy. Y'all don't know me. You guys really don't know my mental health issues. Um, because I really do have some, and the things that you guys uh, say I have because of, certain you guys want to follow along with certain people. Um, I had to again remember why I got into this, um, and it was about education and liberation. And you know, I've kind of steered away from that a little bit. I because I've been, hmm, I want to say whatever focused. I don't look at it as focused. I looked at it. I look at it as I was deflecting and distracting from what I was really out here trying to do. Uh, because I had so many people in my ear. That's because I, people have lives, and the people that I considered my mentors, the people that I talked to every day about the shit that was going on, who had, knowledge in government and, politics. I didn't have them, my teachers there. I'll call it that. I didn't have my and I really can't call them teachers, but I will call mentors, because they wouldn't teach me. They would show me and then teach me what I was reading and understanding, and helped me get in opportunities that I would be able to educate, and then I'd be able to bring that education to the streets, because I forgot why I jumped into this fight. It wasn't George Floyd woke me up. You know what I'm saying? George Floyd woke me up. But then it was the systemic racism that really woke me up. And then it was Wigger Days in Red Wing, Minnesota that woke me up. Then it was learning about sundown towns and learning about no African people allowed, the Napa signs, and why there was Nap, Napa shit, but yet there was no Napa stores. So really had to, focus, because that's what's missing. People aren't educated, and all we have around us is an injustices. We have injustices around us everywhere, from Emmett Till, from Fred Hampton, from Medgar Evers, from Malcolm, from Martin Luther King. We have so many injustices that we continually seeing, and that's what this fight is about. Because an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, everywhere. Because that's what it is. Enough people aren't educated enough about injustice and what injustice looks like. Because you can't. Here's the thing: way before we ever had police brutality, we had racism. People, we had issues. So it's not about, that's the one thing that these conversations that I had yesterday that were really, really, really I needed, because I needed to focus. I needed to get balanced and to figure out what the fuck I was even doing, because I think that's why I felt lost. It's because I got away from that fight, because I just don't. It's not just about police brutality to me, because there's so many other injustices that aren't talked about. It's like with Wigger Days and Red Wing. They don't want to talk about the sundown towns. They don't want to talk about the cross burnings. They don't want to talk about how, there's hills in certain areas, like per se, Coon Hill and Red Wing, where they hung black people off a willow tree on the top of the hill. So it's, if people aren't knowing that history, and if people aren't understanding, how are we supposed to move forward? Because we already live in critical race theory. Tell me we don't. I want somebody to sit there and tell me that we don't live in critical race theory, when they don't tell us shit about black people. I knew about George Washington Carver because peanut butter was something that was plentiful, they always handed it to us, right? So that was easy to information to find out. Going to see Uncle Ben on the rice box was allowing me to understand that, you know what, black people are just bigger than um, what I'm seeing when I go out my front door. It was an inspiration to see, and people are going to be like, man, this nigga don't even know what he's talking about. That's on you. Yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm talking about, because if we stayed focused on the fights, we want to be, we want to fight about Uncle Ben or Aunt Jemima, but we forget about that the Tuskegee Airmen, or we forget about Lake Lanier, or we forget about Black Wall Street, because they want us deflected and distracted from the main goal and all these injustices, right? Because an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. Or did we forget about that? Because how do you think that George Floyd went global? Because what was chanted around? An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So why weren't we uprising when Paris was uprising? Because they were uprising when we were uprising over George Floyd. Why weren't we showing that same solidarity? Because they burned over it. And I hope, did people really see what Paris did? Because I seen Ukraine, Russia in the news a lot, and not the uprising and the riots going on, and how they were were stealing cars and putting them on fire, and driving them into politicians' houses, or burning down police stations, and letting all the inmates out of prison, and then burning down the prisons. Yo, where did we learn how to revolt at? Where did we learn how to uprise at? Because I don't believe it was no justice, no peace. I don't think it was getting out in the streets and chanting that shit. I think it was boycotts. It was stopping to support the people that are hurting us, right? Why don't we do that? That's the one thing that I don't ever feel like why we're never going to get changed, because we'll never get rid of capitalism. We'll never get rid of selfishness. We'll never get rid of people being greedy. We'll never get rid of that, because money is the root of all evil. And people want to talk about all these cults and these Illuminatis. It's all the same. There's no difference. Y'all want to talk about Jay-Z and them being in this Illuminati, or you want to talk about LeBron and these celebrities. They're no different than these activists, right? They're no different than these organizations. Because I'll tell you right now, this weekend, these past 2 weeks have been eye-opening, for the simple fact of, if we listened more to impacted families, we wouldn't be in the shit that we're in. If people, when they saw something, they did something, and they said something. But see, we don't do that no more, and that's why we're in the bullshit that we're in. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Another thing is, we sit there and we talk about police brutality, right? Why aren't we talking about how 1985, when the police dropped a bomb in a whole black neighborhood and got rid of a whole black neighborhood, a black residential neighborhood? Y'all don't want to talk about that. Or y'all don't want to talk about how they got rid of the real Black Panthers, and why they got rid of the Black Panthers, and how they did it. Y'all don't want to know that, because they infiltrated, just like what BLM is out here doing. They're infiltrating our communities to sprinkle in that bullshit, so that they got followers, and to defund the police and talk about they're out here, Black Lives Matter. But yet, why is the government trying to get rid of the word black? Why are they trying to get rid of race? So if Black lives really matter, why ain't y'all fighting for that? Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me, because if y'all are literally out there fighting for Black lives, y'all are fighting the wrong way, because y'all see y'all fighting more for LGBTQ rights, or you're sitting there fighting for shit. I don't, to be honest, I don't know what the fuck they be doing, because it don't be for Black people, because the legislation they rock behind is BIPOC legislation. It's not about Black people. It isn't about Black Americans. It's about everybody, and that's what's wrong, because that's why they got rid of the Black Panthers. That's why they got rid of the movements that were focused on Black liberation and education. That's why they got rid of them. That's why they kept Martins. That's why they keep the BLMs. Yeah, they might talk shit about them, but see, that's why you don't see none of the big activists go to jail, right? Let's say like a Don Jeffrey, who is a lead organizer in Little Rock, Arkansas, who basically did a whole action and then went when they got busted, went and told on everybody. What kind of leader is that? You don't tell on everybody. You be quiet. You take that bite. Because I don't understand what people really got into this for, right? Because if we're just out of here, if you're out here doing the right thing, and that's what I didn't understand, how everybody can just allow these people to be in our movements, because we seen what Al Sharpton was doing, right? Al Sharpton is a professional rat, professional snitch, and he was sitting there teaching that to his other people. Y'all can't even see that. The same thing with Melina Abdullah. This lady's not black. This lady, she's a Pan-African teacher. She teaches Pan-African studies. What the fuck is she gonna teach about black? What's she gonna teach about black, Chantel Allen? Black Lives Matter Minnesota? What are y'all teaching black people when y'all are learning from somebody that teaches Pan-African studies? Make it make sense to me. What are you literally teaching black people when you're learning from somebody that teaches Pan-African studies? It ain't about black study. It's about Pan-Africanism. And that's two different fights, player. Hmm. So I understand what people, when these FBA people be talking about BLM ain't for us. I see why now. I see why. Because see, BLM rocks with the Democrats, the Green Party. They rock, instead of rocking with black people, they rock with everything but black. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. The Green Party, you don't see nothing about really black, do you? The Democrats, no. Republicans, no. But anybody that fights for black people, the liberation, the education of black people, we get rid of. The Black Panthers, the Move movement. Because we could talk about the NAACP all day, but they've allowed them in just like with BLM because they really don't do nothing, because they control it. That's why they're not worried, because they control them. When they can't control certain movements or certain organizations, they call them militant, because you shouldn't want to be a nonprofit. Why you want the government to control you? That's what I don't understand. There's enough roads, there's enough education that we can all sit here and be self-sustaining instead of allowing the government. Because once you become a nonprofit, see, you got certain things in there, and then when you get these grants, and there's contracts, right? There's grants, so then you got the stipulations, and if you don't meet those stipulations, they come and take that money. So basically, you take that money, and you can't always speak up against the injustices, and that's what's wrong, because these people are literally being paid to be silent. To be silent. Why do you think we don't go to Keith Ellison's house and we go to Mayor Fraser instead, huh? Why we only go to the gates outside of Governor Walls? Why don't we aren't we able to go inside that? That's the people's property. Just because there's a fence up, that's our property. He's lived somewhere that our taxes pay. That's the governor's mansion. That's the people's mansion. Am I right or wrong? We elected him in there. So why are we stopping at a gate if we plan to do nothing to him? If we're planning to be peaceful, why are we letting a fence stop us? I really want to know that, because on January 6th, they didn't let barricades and fences and windows and none of that stop them. Because in their mind, they want what the Constitution said. We the people. Because who are the people? We're the people, not the politicians. We the people. If y'all understood what the Constitution meant and means, we the people. We the people. See, and it always didn't include black people, but it does now. So we have to learn our rights so we can fight. Because there ain't no motherfucking legislation, no amendments, ain't nothing that is going to help us, they're only going to take it away, like affirmative action. So, Roe versus Wade, gone. What do you think's next? What do you think's next? Education? Brown versus the Board of Education? Interracial marriage? What's next? The Fair Housing Act? Is the Civil Rights Act unconstitutional? Are that's how far they're going to go? Is that how far Clarence Thomas is going to go? Are you going to go that far, sellout, to sit there and say that the Civil Rights Act was unconstitutional and needs to be overturned? Is that what you're going to do? Because you've already done some amendments like that. We've already done some amendments. So we have way too many innocent people locked up who should be free. Way too many. Way too many. And yet we do nothing about it. And injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And that's what I'm getting back to. I'm getting back to highlighting these stories, making awareness so that people know about these injustices that are happening, because when you know better, you do better. But we can't know how to do better if we don't know how to do better. So that's what I'm going to get back to. I'm going to show people these injustices and show them, regardless if you may think it's an injustice or not, it's an injustice. When you come down to Red Wing, or you come and you do anything right that says about minorities, but yet you don't talk about minorities, you don't talk about the black struggle, you want to talk about the St. James Hotel. I get it, but if we're going to talk about the past, let's talk about all the past, how black people weren't allowed in there. We could work there because Eli Fields had a barbershop there. See, but we couldn't eat inside there. We couldn't sleep in rooms. We could be entertainment. Just like the Sheldon used to have blackface shows. Yeah, I bet you that's something y'all didn't know. They used to literally have people come in and do blackface shows. Yeah. They don't want to tell you about the White Knights of Columbus. Yeah. I'll just leave that alone for another day. But they don't want to sit there and tell you what these groups originated from. But they'll tell you that uh, gangster disciples is our vice lords, our bloods and crips, our street gangs. No, it's not how they originated. It's not how they started. It's y'all turned it that way because of money. Money is the root of all evil. Once certain leaders gave in the money, that's what happened. So don't tell me, because I know drugs is a powerful motherfucking thing. Why you think some of the rules were made? Don't get high on your own supply. Because once you let that shit enter your body, it weakens your mind. The same thing with alcohol. What do you think you're putting in your body when you're drinking alcohol? Why do you think they call it spirits? Hmm? Why do you think they call it spirits? Come on, y'all. Y'all act like y'all don't do your homework. You don't do your research. Once you allow that shit into your body, that's how people are allowed to be possessed. They allow they allow shit to be able to go into their body because first of all, their mind isn't clear. Their mind is all fuzzy, and it's that's what's crazy. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about, and it's okay. And that's why I don't really eat at these events and protests because I don't know what the fuck they putting in the food. I've always been like that. I've always been like that. Usually any protest we went to, we never went to go eat the food. Never. And I'll be honest, there was only times I ever a couple did, and really, it was because of the people that held the event, 10K, which was Royce White and Jonathan Mason. So I honestly didn't believe that they ain't them type of niggas because they came out with speaking against COVID. They were going against BLM. So I'm like, shit, they about to try to take them out anyway. So, which happened. They tried to take both of them niggas out. But when you speak on facts and the truth, me and Mason don't always agree on everything because he's a little bit bent. He folded and broke to the system a little bit. He doesn't want to admit it, but he has. I still got love for the brother, but that's why I just can't fuck with everybody because people have shown me that they can break, bend, or fold, and I'm just not that type of person. I've literally could have been took money opportunities, But if I can't take everybody with me, what is the point? Because I got a lot of plates at my table, right? And I got to make sure everybody eats. Because if there's a plate and that person's not eating, I can't do it. So if I can't put food on that plate, I'm not doing it. If I can't put food on everybody's plate at my table, I'm not doing it. And see, here's the thing: everybody sits at my table. I don't leave anybody out, because an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. I don't leave anybody out at my table. Nobody, nobody gets left behind. So I just really want people to think, and I really, really want to thank the people that uh, I just really, because yesterday was a fucking, that was God, man. That wasn't anybody but God that did what He did yesterday. And it's crazy because I even think about this, right? And the other day, I think it was Friday, I was actually down here, right here where I'm at, Central Park Band Show, and I can't remember her name, but she's a pastor. And this is about the last couple minutes of the live, because I had walked away from the phone, and we just talked for a couple minutes, but she asked me, she's like, "Is there anything that I can pray for you for?" And I said, I said, what's crazy is because what I really need, God can't do nothing about. He can't he can't end the gun violence, right? He can, but he can't just, if we say end the gun violence, that it's going to end it. That's not going to happen, right? We can't just say, pray to God to end the homelessness, because that's not how it works, right? So what I asked for was unity in the community, for the simple fact of that I wanted to pray. I prayed for to change people's hearts, to open people's minds, so that people could see, and that we could have that unity in the community, because that's what it's all about. Ain't no legislation. It's going to take education. You hear that? Legislation? See, it ain't going to take legislation. It's going to take education. So I want people to think about that. I really do. I know people don't like me. It's blah blah this, blah blah that. Hey, it is what it is. But I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all, and that's one thing that I had to. I can say this. I woke up this morning, laser focused, refreshed, and I needed those conversations. And I'm glad that people saw that I was struggling. They might not have known what was going on, um, but that they reached out, and uh, I really do appreciate that, and it means a lot to me. Um, because I literally, writing up this morning, and I was debating, because I had it in me to go live. I had it in me to go live, but I was tired of being vulnerable, because my vulnerableness has been used as a weakness, and it's been used against me. So I didn't want to come on here, and because I felt like I was going to cry when I started talking about, certain things of, that inspired me and what's kept me going. Um, but no, I'm laser focused. I feel refreshed. The weight is off my shoulders. Um, and what I mean by that is that weight is off my shoulders. That I was able to finally digest it, whatever, and process it. And in my events of uh, processing it, I realized when other people reached out to me, that's what I should say, is I realized that I lost my focus. I lost why I got into this. What inspired me? What inspired me? So I I got to get that inspiration back. So, and that was, to me, was an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, because that was something that y'all heard me say all the time, 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 all the time. I used to say that every day, and I've gotten away from it. I don't even really send emails off my email address that's my signature. An injustice anywhere, it's an injustice everywhere. And I got to get back to that because I lost my inspiration because people were telling me to stay in my lane. Well, injustice is my lane. So, um, 'cause I don't have a lane. My lane is injustice. And see, that's the problem. All y'all lanes reach into my lane. That's the problem. Because my lane is all the lanes because it all comes back to the one injustice, right? And then in that justice, you have transparency, honesty, clarification, and education. But y'all don't understand that because y'all want to get blessed in chicken blood, or y'all want to be out here getting initiated and doing weird ass shit, orgies, smoking crack cocaine, meth, whatever it is. Not me. But y'all already know what it is. Win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well.
Every day, fighting for my life. Every day, fighting for my life. Fighting for my life. Fighting for my bread. Grew from the seed you thought was rot. I think not. Fire bred desire to rise above denial, to rise from former ashes to face new trial for more triumph.